be taking a look at Elves in our feature match area, and Bant Spirits, Jacob Mays versus Jamie Cotter. Both of these players on 10 and 2 here in round number 13. Okay, so both decks with a high creature density. Reed, who do you like better in this matchup?
Ooh, I'm getting chills just thinking about this matchup. I really like the Elves side. I think this is exactly the style of matchup that you want to play when you choose Elves, which is to excel against an opposing creature deck that doesn't have a lot of removal or board sweepers. Now the Spirits deck does have some game, and in particular the fact that the Spirits player can block the Elves, but the Elves player cannot block the Flying Spirits. That is a big advantage. So I think if the disparity in the power level of their draws is large, the Spirits player can definitely win. But if we see Elves on the play with a good hand, it's going to be a slaughter.
Okay, well, we are underway here. A couple of lands in play for each player. Supreme Phantom and Noble Hierarch for our Bant Spirits player. And this is a bit of a new one here. Elvish Clan Caller hitting the table for Jacob Mays.
Yeah, I think actually Jacob Mays has a second Clan Caller in hand, but can't cast it because of, unfortunately, Elves of Deep Shadow producing green mana, or black mana instead of green.
Yes. Jamie already down to 11 after a couple of attack steps from Jacob Mays.
But yeah, Elves is a deck that's been around for a long time in Modern, and Clan Caller a new addition. In my opinion, it's exactly what the deck wanted. Another card that costs less than 3 mana that really packs a punch. It's a great hit off Collected Company. It gives you a mana sink if the board stalls out, and as we know, Elves capable of producing quite a lot of mana. I think Clan Caller really takes this deck up a notch. Still going to suffer from the same weaknesses. Fast combo decks are not a great matchup. Board sweepers are very hard to overcome, but Elves is a really, really strong deck when you get to see it play a matchup like this.
And Elves making its way into the top 8 of the last Modern GP.
Absolutely.
Back over to Jamie Cotter here, who is on 11. Selfless Spirit the play, and Phantasmal Image here, targeting the Supreme Phantom, so a couple of Lords in play and a pass back. No attack.
Jamie Cotter amassing a pretty decent defense, 2 Spirit Lords and a Selfless Spirit to protect them if need be. And you can imagine that if he has enough time, he can turn this solid defense into a devastating offense. So Jacob Mays really with pressure to make something happen here, but man, he's got a good draw with 2 more Elf Lords and Shaman of the Pack in hand.
Ooh, nice. Considering Clan Caller number 2 here for Jacob Mays.
Yeah, he wants to make his creatures 4 power to have them be profitable attackers, but even then he should be careful because double blocking using Selfless Spirit does give Jamie Cotter quite a lot of options and flexibility in engaging in combat here.
And there's a Shaman of the Pack for Jacob Mays, which drains the opponent for the number of elves you control.
I'm intrigued by his decision to play Shaman of the Pack instead of Elvish Archdruid, because the Archdruid can represent so much mana next turn, potentially allowing him to cast the Shaman and activate the ability of Elvish Clan Caller. But in either with either decision, he's in really good shape here, threatening a lethal attack next turn, and can deploy yet another Elf Lord from his hand before he attacks.
All right, we're going to see just a pass here from Jamie Cotter.
So Cotter really needs a flash creature, in particular Spell Queller would be amazing, but you know, even that might not be enough because 6 attackers and only 5 life for Jamie Cotter. If any 2 of these creatures are getting through, it's lights out.
There's Elvish Archdruid from Jacob Mays.
I guess what he really needs is Path to Exile.
Yeah. And a swing with the team will lock it up for Jacob Mays and Elves here versus Bant Spirits, heading quickly into game 2. Noble Hierarch kicks things off. Why do you like the Elves deck so much, Reed?
It's just so explosive, so consistent with being able to play a mana creature on turn 1 such a large portion of the time, and when it goes uncontested, when it's able to do its thing, not met by a board sweeper or turn 1 lightning bolt for the Elves, it's just so explosive. It's hard for anyone who's playing fair Magic, attacking and blocking with creatures, to keep up. And I think we saw it in game number 1, the Elves deck getting the mana advantage and just dramatically outclassing the Spirits deck.
Mausoleum Wandered, Ether Vial met with a Reclamation Sage here from Jacob Mays. Jamie Cotter at 17.
Now that's a pretty sweet one. Reclamation Sage, I'm sure coming in because Jacob Mays has Worship on his radar, but able to tag an Ether Vial against a mana screwed opponent.
Oh, yeah.
Jacob Mays flipping the script despite being on the draw here and putting himself in good position.
Heritage Druid for Jacob Mays this turn. Nice set, Rec Sage and an Elf.
Yeah, very important.
Jamie Cotter, 17. Dwinwin's Elite here.
Here, the very powerful combination of Dwinen's Elite and Heritage Druid, allowing Jacob Mays to really dump his hand.
Elfish Archdruid.
This I should point out as a specific strength of Elves and a pattern to look out for in a matchup like this, which is Elvish Archdruid. It's just way too good. It's very fragile, so the decks that have Lightning Bolt, Anger of the Gods, anything like that, are well prepared to beat Elvish Archdruid, but against a deck like Spirits, which usually only plays something like in the ballpark of 3 to 6 removal spells, Jacob Mays has a great chance to untap with Elvish Archdruid, and that's going to represent 6 or more mana. That's just unfair.
Back over to Jamie Cotter now, a second Mausoleum Wanderer in play, but still just the one land of the Noble Hierarch. And it's Horizon Canopy. Ouch. In the end, just has to say go. At 14 life, Jacob Mays at 15 here. Draws a Heritage Druid for the turn. Puts it into play, and that Elvish Archdruid is just doing work. Or has the potential to do a lot of work here. I want to see a nice Shaman of the Pack kill.
I think we're going to see it.
Is green-black Elves your preferred build?
Actually, no. I usually play green-white Elves to have access to the white sideboard cards and Horizon Canopy. I find Horizon Canopy to be just incredibly valuable in a deck like this. But Shaman of the Pack is really, really nice as well, and Assassin's Trophy, a recent printing that can make you interested in black sideboard cards. So both versions are good, but my personal preference is white-green Elves.
Scavenging Ooze here from Jacob Mays, keeping track of the billions of mana that he can make with that Archdruid. And boom, there's Shaman of the Pack, and there's a handshake. Jacob Mays takes down this match 2-0 here in round 13. And hey, ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, fun to see Elves making a deep run here at Grand Prix Oakland. This is a deck it's not one of the 5 or 10 most popular decks in Modern, but it's been around for a long time. We know it's got chops. It has some really good matchups out there, and potentially a really good choice in a field where people are really excited to be playing Human, Spirits, and Hardened Scales.
Absolutely. Okay, we've got more Time Walk Magic for you, so let's head back on down to the feature match area here. Eli Cassis with his Is It Phoenix deck versus Min Win on Burn. And we've seen this matchup before, Reed. Not these two players.
Right, Is It Phoenix against Burn? This is a close matchup. Either player can win, and we saw these matches on camera going pretty deep to 3 games, often coming down to the final draw step. Eli Cassis, though, has not lost so far in this Grand Prix. He's in great position with Is It Phoenix. In fact, either of these players could be 1 win away from making the top 8, but Eli Cassis in particular, being our last undefeated player, having great tiebreakers, a 12th win for him could lock him up for top 8.
It's been really fun to watch Eli play this deck as well. If you're interested in Is It Phoenix in Modern, I would highly suggest going back and watching some of his rounds.
Yeah, now Eli's one of these players that has a very wide range in Modern. He's had success with a lot of different decks. Pretty famous for Bant Collected Company, or Bant Nightfall, as it used to be called. He's played Storm in the past. He's a player who's just really good at Magic generally and able to pick up a deck and learn it at a pretty fast rate.
Right, here's a Manamorphose into another one. A third in hand, too. Let's keep the ball rolling. Get some of those Arc-like Phoenixes into the yard. Oh,
Yeah.
he's got 2 in hand.
Oh, and he's got Is It Charm, so we're going to see 2 Arclight Phoenixes already on turn 2 here.
Woohoo! I love it. Is It Charm here from Cassis, chaining these 3 Manamorphoses back to back to back, and here's 2 Arclight Phoenixes coming back from the dead in for 6.
And look at the difference in power level here, Maria. Min Win's turn 1 play was Lava Spike U, you're at 17. Ely Cassis gets to attack for 6 points of haste on turn 2, and it barely cost him anything. All he did was cycle some cards in his hand.
Yeah, outburning the burn player, I think, pretty cool. Mono Red and Is It Phoenix, are we watching Standard?
Yeah, it's true. This Arclight Phoenix has had a dramatic impact on a wide variety of formats.
Sleight of
Unique
hand.
card.
And the Arclight Phoenix, I've got to say, when I saw it initially previewed, I didn't think it looked outright obscenely powerful. It seemed so difficult to turn on.
I agree. I'm with you on that. I thought to myself, hey, if I'm spending 4 mana on a creature, why wouldn't it be Rekindling Phoenix or some kind of awesome dragon? 3/2 is just not good enough stats. What I did not realize is that you're not spending mana for this card when you're using it properly.
That's right. All right, Searing Blaze is going to take down 1 Arclight Phoenix, but...
Okay, so that's exactly what Win needed to stay in this game. However, it's only a temporary solution because you can see that if Ely Cassis has a strong hand here, he's easily able to return the Phoenix next turn. But Win making a good play, perhaps thinking, you know what, I'm really far behind in this game. Let me just hope that Cassis is not holding a strong hand, and then maybe I can fight my way back.
Let's spend a Rift Bolt here for Min, who is at 9 life to Ely's 11.
But you know what? Speaking of strong hands, he might be able to set himself up for a win next turn. The only problem here is that, and it's actually quite a severe problem, is that Ely can attack for 6 if he's able to return his Phoenix, and Win, with no basic planes in his deck, really needs to use Arid Mesa for an untapped Sacred Foundry, but that doesn't jive with taking 6 damage.
Okay, so what's going on here, Reed?
Ely just started his turn by killing his own Arclight Phoenix. Don't worry, it will be back. He did that because he could only cast Flame Slash if there's a legal target for it on the battlefield.
And yeah, gut shot here. And the Phoenix says, well, come on back and do the final points of damage. Ely Cassis takes game number 1.
Yeah, his draw was just too strong there. The Arclight Phoenix deck, so powerful when it's able to find 2 Arclight Phoenixes in the top 12 or 15 cards of its library, and Ely Cassis on the play with 2 Phoenixes attacking on turn 2 there, virtually insurmountable for the burn player.
That was sick. Thing of beauty there, the ultimate power of the Is It Phoenix deck. All right, into game 2, Monastery Swift Spirit comes down and hits for 1 here.
This one, however, going much better for the burn player. Being on the play with an unanswered creature, you can expect Win to unload, 6-9 damage if he's lucky on this turn, with an uncontested Swift Spear and an open window to cast some spells from his hand.
All right, we've got 2 mana available. Swift Spear ready to enter the fray.
Oh, but it looked like he mulliganed rather severely in this
yes.
game. He doesn't have many cards left in his hand, so as good as the turn 1 Swift Spear is, it's going to have to pull a lot of weight to overcome this kind of resource disadvantage.
Only 2 cards left for Min Win. Here's a Thing in the Ice from Cassis.
So we saw this pattern come up the last time Ely played this matchup on camera, where he ended up blocking a Goblin Guide with Thing in the Ice. I think normally you kind of have to do that. You can't really just allow yourself to bleed out from these turn 1 creatures.
But I'm greedy, Reed. I'm greedy.
And this might be a situation where Cassis could think about being greedy against a player who's mulliganed so low. Maybe he thinks,
Sure.
he's not going to have enough firepower to kill me, but he does decide to go ahead and block there. Thankfully for him, it's only a Lightning Bolt and not a Searing Blaze that finishes off the Thing in the Ice.
Thought Scour here for Ely Cassis will dump a couple of lands into the graveyard. plays a land for turn, 1 red up, and I think I do see a couple of Arclight Phoenixes in his hand. Lava Spike, Swift Spear in. Cassis falls to 8. And Crackling Drake will be the play.
So Wynn really looking for a big draw here. Something along the lines of Boros Charm, maybe Searing Blaze. Path to Exile.
It's so funny because, you know, we're talking about how cards don't potentially look impactful. Crackling Drake is another one that I wouldn't expect to be good enough for Modern somehow. I mean, I guess it draws you a card and can be huge.
Yeah, and
but
in
it's just
particular,
4 mana? I don't know. You know what I mean?
what's really vexing about Crackling Drake from the opponent's perspective is the cards that you would normally use to negate a card like this, they just don't do anything.
That's
Rest
true.
in Peace doesn't stop it. Relic of Progenitus doesn't stop it. It's really annoying in that sense.
How about an Arclight Phoenix? Paid full price. Still gets in for 3.
Yeah, full price, not bad here, as Eidolon of the Great Revel only triggers on spells with converted mana cost 3 or less. So a 4-drop creature, virtually perfect on this board. Not an impressive play, but a fine one from Cassis's perspective.
Cassis on 8. Win on 15. And no attack here from Wynn, and we pass back over to Cassis. Nice little wall that we've managed to build here.
So I have to say, if Min Win is holding a land, it's looking really bad for him. I think he's virtually done for. However, if he's holding a burn spell, things get really interesting because sneaking through one of these creatures and or triggering the Eidolon of the Great Revel once when paired with 2 burn spells, that makes 8 damage. So I didn't see what Win is holding in his hand, but the answer to that question can determine the outcome of the game here.
That 4 toughness on the Drake, too. Really annoying for Wynn.
Right. It's both Crackling Drake and Thing in the Ice that have 4 toughness and really circumvent a lot of the removal spells, the Searing Blazes, the Searing Bloods of the burn deck.
Another full price Arclight Phoenix hits the table for Cassis. And this is kind of interesting, too. A way to get around these, as you said, these Eidolon of the Great Revel triggers. The Izzet Phoenix deck is capable of performing some pretty flexible gymnastics.
Okay, is this a desperation attack, or is he actually holding strong enough cards to make this profitable?
Eidolon of the Great Revel swings in along with the Monastery Swift Spear in a double. A block on each one of Wynn's creatures here. Drake in front of the Eidolon. Phoenix in front of the Swift Spear.
Yep, this makes a lot of sense. Okay, so
Skullcrack here.
what Wynn needs here is he needs his Eidolon to die, he needs Cassis's Arclight Phoenix to die, and he needs to draw a burn spell next turn. Crackling Drake and Arclight Phoenix together, not quite enough on the board to deal the 10 damage, but you can imagine if Cassis is holding enough spells to pump up the Drake and or return Arclight Phoenix, then he can assemble lethal here.
All right, let's see him do it. Here's Manamorphose. To kick things off. Thought Scour, play number 2. Blood Moon and a Manamorphose into the yard, draws a card. Thought Scour again, spell 3, and there is the handshake. Eli Cassis, 2-0. Izzet Phoenix over Min Win's burn.
Topping the standings here, 12-0 and 1 record. I'm not ready to say that he is locked up for top 8, but he is just in fantastic position. I would say something would have to go dramatically wrong for us to not see Eli Cassis in our top 8 at this point. So
all right,
great job by him.
What are some of your takeaways, both from our Time Walk match and our original match in the round, which, thinking back, was Burn versus Hardened Scales Affinity?
Yeah, that Hardened Scales versus Burn matchup, it really sticks in my mind as how close and how much the little decisions really impacted things. We saw, in my opinion, the Hardened Scales player sort of missed opportunity to navigate towards lethal in the first game by missequencing the second to last turn of the game. And then we saw the Burn player make a hasty decision when it seemed like he was about to win,
Yes.
but met by the Nightmare card, Nature's Claim in response, allowing the door to open, and then the Hardened Scales player to take over and eventually win the game and the match. So the lesson just being pay attention to the small stuff, don't rush things even when it seems like the outcome is obvious. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're overlooking something important.
And two Burn players in our feature match area this round, and in fact, two Burn players. How do you feel about Burn as a choice right now in Modern?
Really good. Burn is a really consistent, simple, direct deck that has a proactive game plan, which is very appealing in a format as diverse as Modern, and it has a lot of good game against the top decks. I think Burn is a totally fine choice. I wouldn't be surprised to see one in our top 8.
All right, well, more Magic coming at you from our next round in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.